Hello everyone, I created this minigame for a game jam. I made a system that calculates the amplitude of the sounds that the player is emitting. This is how it works. On the player character blueprint, I have a float variable named sound emission. I am dynamically adding and subtracting values depending on the player's actions. Let's take the footsteps as an example. This is a basic line trace setup. I've created a variable holding a sound value for each material. When the character walks and puts his foot on the ground, the sound value of the corresponding material is added to the sound emission variable. When the character is running, the material sound values are multiplied by 3. This material value is subsequently subtracted from sound emission after a brief delay. You could also use animation notifiers for updating sound emission. I've used this method for the player sword swings. This sound emission value modulates the sound visualizer at the bottom of the screen. By dividing that value by the distance between the player and the victim, I obtain a coefficient that serves as a threshold for detection. This requires constant updating, so I added a sphere collision component around the villagers that will trigger the system on and off as needed. When the player steps into the sphere, it updates the coefficient every 0.1 second. Depending on the density of the ground material, you can hear more or less of the bone rattling sounds when the player is moving. The grass sounds are triggered using collision boxes. A low-pass filter is applied to the footstep sounds, and a layer of rustling grass is added. I also have an RTPC setup that handles progressive amplitude attenuation of the player's locomotion sounds to prevent ear fatigue. When the player moves, an event named check for footstep duration is triggered every second. This trigger stops when the player stops moving. I created a footstep timer integer variable, which increments by 1 each time the event is triggered. If it reaches 3, it will set the lower footstep volume RTPC to 0 with an interpolation time of 5 seconds. When the player enters the light, a sound effect is triggered. In order to prevent unnecessary repetitions, the sound plays only if it hasn't played for at least 5 seconds. Until next time, have a good day everyone.